Hello and welcome to video number 5. We're going to continue to talk about what other ways available for us beside the nested if. I'm not going to ever belittle the use of a function considering other function, but that's still there are way different, much better ways of solving some problem, especially when it gets the conditions or the multiple condition gets very complicated. If you take a look at this, you will notice that I have now a much larger scale when it comes to grading somebody. So instead of going between 0 to 60, 60 to 70, from 70 all the way up to 80, 80 up to 90, you get a classical scale of A, B, C, D, F. Now we're going to expand a little bit from 0 to 60, the person will get, or the students will get an F, from 60 to 63. That's going to get a D minus. So we have more options in order to assign a grade. Also, we're going to be able to assign a comment as a result of their performance. I still could use the nested if, but there is no need because, again, once you get, in my opinion, and that's based on my experience, everybody have a different opinion about the same thing. If I get over 7 if nested if, I try to think if there's any other way of doing it better than that. And there is nothing better comes to my mind than using the vlookup or the hlookup. Now we have xlookup, which is a much better function than both of them. But to go back and stay with the tradition of vlookup, since a lot of people have still using it and have used it, we're going to look at this one here. So look at the range here, which I really specified in a progressive manner. So we have point from 0 to 60 to 63. So there is a logic here we need to keep. So the person will get an F if got from 0 all the way up to 60, not including 60. We'll get D minus from 60 all the way up to 63. And so we have column 1 here, and we have column 2 and column 3. I could easily put here, say, the score, and here the grade, and here is my comment. So we could end up with a lot more option than what we have here, or more common columns, or later we will see how to turn it into hlookup. If somebody gave it to you already horizontal, you could either flip it to vertical, or you could use it as a horizontal, as we will see. So vlookup is the use of vlookup. It's a function that is going to really help us a lot. It's one of the most commonly used function in Excel, or hlookup. Of course, look into xlookup, which is actually replaces both of them. Anyway, so we need to go ahead in order to solve this problem. First of all, the average is going to determine later the score. We don't have really a complicated way of calculating the average or the score. I don't need the average. The score will be based on the average. Okay, so let me go ahead and delete this column. I don't need it. So the score would be the average of these 3 scores, and as a result we'll be able to see. So once I get one of them, I use the relative address, so I'll be able to go ahead and take my cursor to the lower right corner to activate the fill handle and double click. So this is calculated every score for every student. We have 12 students, and I'm going to go ahead and only keep 2 digits to the right of the decimal points. All right. One of the things that you really need to give attention to, if you do end up, for example, this score here, it's very tricky because some people will be confused. If I ended up taking all the decimal point, and notice here, will be rounded in the view, not in reality, not in the quantity, to 90. So if the students ended up seeing 90 here, and based on this scale of a grade, that person is not going to get an A minus. It's still going to get a B plus. Let's go ahead and see it then how we're going to change this. This is a deceiving issue. You need to be able, or need to be aware of it in Excel, so you don't really get confused, or other people get confused by your calculation. So the best way is to make sure that you have at least one decimal point. As you notice, will clarify that this is not 90, this is 89. But if we ended up hiding all the digit to the right of the decimal point, this is obviously is going to confuse us because this shows as 90, but still the person is going to get P plus. Anyway, let's focus on vlookup, the vlookup function. How are we going to do this? We're going to start with vlookup, hit the tab. I'm going to look up this score, okay? Among what? Among all these criteria range here, this criteria range. Since I'm going to be using the criteria range over and over with every score, I need to lock it. So I'm going to hit the F4 in this case. I hit the F4 and I locked it. If you use a laptop, it's going to be Fn F4. If you're using a Mac, of course, Control F4. Doesn't matter. And if you forgot, you could type the $, which has nothing to do with money. It has to do with locking the cell. Now, what will be if this is E6, which is the 79, match the value in the very first column? And V mean vertical lookup. So it's going to look for the first column to determine the action. So it finds the 79 right between the 77 and 80. This is not an exact value, it's approximate value because I'm not looking for 79 exactly. I'm looking for any value between 77 all the way up to 80 in order for that person to get the C plus. So if that is the case, what are we going to do? I'm going to tell vlookup, look at the second column and pull for me the grade that will match that score. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it from the second grade. I don't need the comment yet. Later we'll actually use column number 3. And also I need to tell this is not an exact value. I'm not looking for an exact, for example, student's ID. Those are exact value. Somebody's address, somebody's last name, somebody's social security number. Those are exact value. However, the score, a person will get certain grade based on a range of score. So it's not an exact. So we're going to go ahead and say approximate, which is a true. You could put a 1 if you choose to, and close this and notice what's going to happen. Here we go. We got the C plus, but let's not forget this one is going to confuse you because 90 is an A minus, but now we got to see B plus. B plus, where that coming from? The fact that this is not 90. The Excel displayed it as 90, but in reality it's 89.7. All right, so it's when you do have a calculation average wise, always try to show couple digit or at least one single digit to the right of the decimal point in order to show the actual value. Great. So now if you notice here, we could go ahead and click that, drag it all the way down, and notice every other person will be able to see the score for that. If I ended up with this one here, we don't have any A plus. Let's go ahead and put all this 100, and you will notice if I change all that to 100, it's going to immediately change to A plus. Always, all calculation must be automatically done, calculated automatically. The same exact things, I'm going to do it for showing the comment that I'm going to give the students. Maybe I wanted to send them an email based on their grade and comments through the mail merge that I could use that in Microsoft Word, and this way it makes it much easier. I'm going to make a video in order to show you how to pull the data from Excel into Word in order to send the same email to as many people as you have. So the comments here, I'm going to do the same thing, vlookup, here we go, and hit the tab. It's still, I'm looking for the score, so it's still an approximate value in this range, okay, and hit the F4 to lock it. Comma, now show me what is in column 3 that will be corresponding or matching the score. And of course, we got to go ahead and put true or 1 because it's a approximate, not an exact value. And here we go. So a little bit better, whatever I wrote there, it's going to pull it. And notice we're going to get the awesome for the person who did. Of course, I'm going to enlarge this. This is basically calculated the grade very quickly, calculated the comma. There is no way you could beat or compete with the vlookup when you have a many condition to do, and especially when you have multiple action that matches like grade and comments, maybe other things, what next class you should take, and of course you could be looking at some other values or data that will pertain to a better advising. This is great, as you notice. However, if you ended up having this range as I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Sometimes somebody give it to you, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it as a transpose value. As you notice, I transposed it to instead of column. Now it's become a horizontal lookup, so you'll be able to use the function horizontal lookup instead. I'll show you an example here if you want it. Instead of if you take here this value here for the grade, I will say hlookup now, because the range is not going to, lookup. And here we go. I avoid to make a mistake with spelling by letting Excel complete the function for me. Once I see a couple letters here and there, I'll hit the tab key and I will be able to do it. So we're going to still look hlookup just like vlookup, but instead of using this range here, I'm going to go ahead and use this range here. See? And so I'm going to go ahead and select it. I like the vertical, it's much easier. And in this case, I'll hit the F4, to lock. And then still, I'm going to do the row 2 instead of column 2. And of course, it's going to be exactly approximate match exactly the way we did it before. And here we go, we're going to get the same result. See that? It's not going to change the result. It's just the criteria, whether it's laid out horizontally or vertically. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm very happy that you are going through these videos and learning something about Excel. Excel will be around for a long time to come. So it's a good idea to practice it and play with it. Thank you again.